欢迎小，这是第二次到我们瑞领来，对不对？
对。
第一次是在4年以前。对呀，4年以前，那时候米肖是以波士顿市议会议长身份来的，也是创造历史，是第一次波士顿有一位亚裔女性担任市议长。那么这一次呢，你又要创造历史，也成为我们波士顿第一位亚裔女性的市长。那么谢谢大家一起来为那个米肖创造历史努力。那么我是1993年到波士顿的，那么那时候也正好是以轰轰烈烈的选市长活动。那时候因为老市长走了，那么后来是代市长赢了。那么从93年到现在，我们波士顿就只出了2位市长，所以在波士顿选这个城市选市长是非常不容易的。所以米歇尔，你能够走到这一步是非常非常不容易，那么非常敬佩你。那么我也非常感谢大家一起为米歇尔那个支持那个，所以欢迎米歇尔，谢谢大家。
好，谢谢何慧明先生。这次活动的话呢，除了我们Chinese American Community for Michelle 以外的话呢，还有一个很重要的组织，叫做New England Chinese American Association， 简称 NICA 啊。它从Michelle从去年11月份开始要竞选市长的时候，就义无反顾的支持了啊。那我本身也是 NICA 的成员之一。那我们现在就有请 NICA 的这个联合主席王华先生给我们致个词，谢谢。
Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's very exciting here, right? Yeah. So, yeah, as Gloria said, NICA has thrown our support behind Michelle from the very beginning. And I was here 4 years ago when we had the fundraising for Michelle in this very room. I remember that vividly. And then so last November, we had the fundraising for Michelle, and this June we also had. And this time, what's the difference is, that was based on New England area, and Michelle fondly referred that as a Herdenston community, because we always had that in the Herdenston Castle House in Weston. But today, thank you to Huiming, and we're here. And but this time, what's the difference is we're basically mobilized the entire nation, the Chinese American community across the nation. So we set the goal, say by today we're going to hit 50,000 fundraising goal, and then we hit it. And there will be more coming. And I think Michelle needs all the support from us. Okay, so people say, why do we support Michelle? Michelle is the best candidate for the future of Boston, period. It doesn't matter if she's one of us. Of course, that's an added bonus that she's one of us, right? And I think some of the people read about her stories. And, you know, just like in our community, people sometimes shun away from politics. But Michelle embraced the politics. That made me remember about something about John Adams once said. He has to study politics and military, so his sons can study philosophy and mathematics. So Michelle is doing the politics, so we can do our everyday thing. Okay, so Michelle is the future of Boston, so we need to support, you know, through our support for her. And, you know, let's do it together. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
谢谢王教授啊，我们王教授是移民美国已经30年了，啊，他是 BU 的这个教授啊，他代表了我们波士顿的一个老移民的一个这个想法啊。那我们NICA 呢还有另外一个 Co-President 啊，他是新移民啊，刚来了，只是来了4年啊。那他是代表新移民的一些想法。那我们有请这个我们的共同主席之一葛倩来讲2句。
首先非常感谢大家对米歇尔的支持。那么作为我还有我女儿，我们其实在米歇尔最先开始的时候，她作为一个亚裔的女性，一个谦逊质朴、坦诚、善良、善解人意的一个女孩子，就是确实是深深地打动了我们 NICA 里面这些女性的心，所以我们一直跟她在一起。也希望大家一直和我们在一起，谢谢你们。
好，谢谢大家啊！因为我们现在这个活动呢，是除了线下以外，我们其实还有线上。 线上我们应该有超过300人以上的这个捐款人都来参加我们这个线上的这个活动。我们线上的话呢，应该还有请这个我们的美国全国华人联合会的主席薛海培先生在线上给我们致个词好吗？海培 can sign up for the Zoom?
Yeah, he's on it.
Okay. Okay.
He just need to speak.
海培，你是不是 mute 了
Yeah, we can hear him.
Okay.
I don't think he'll be loud enough to hear.
Okay.
No, so people online can hear him.
OK,
but we
yeah，
can barely-
那没关系，趁着海培讲的时候，我就讲一下啊，我们那边，其实我们有2个 painting， 有2个艺术品，可以那个菲比可以帮我 hold 起来啊。我们这里有一个油画啊，这个油画呢是一个我们本地的一个画家Sophia 鱼捐出来的。这幅画的话呢是它的一个非常漂亮的，是关于纽英格兰的一个风景啊，市场价是1万美金。那我们现在就是他把它捐出来的话呢，给我们这次活动啊，我们现在起拍其实3000，为什么呢？因为已经有个朋友他已经出价3000了，所以呢超过3000的话呢，再告诉我啊，如果不然的话呢，我的朋友就把它拿走了啊，大家可以看一下。然后另外一个的话呢是还有一个书法，这个书法呢是我们也是纽英格兰书法艺术学会的这个会长，我们的书法家梅雨国先生捐出来的一个书法叫《心经》啊，这个书法曾经在我们的 Museum Fine Arts 是展览过的啊，也是估价要1万美金以上的。现在的话呢，不好意思，起拍价也是3500，为什么呢？因为也是有一位朋友已经 offer 了3500了，所以呢，超过3500的才来找我啊，好吗 ？OK， 我可以给大家看一下啊，大家可以拍些照啊，非常棒的《心经》啊。OK， 海培讲完了吗？讲完了哦，谢谢线上的观众啊，再次感谢大家。那现在让我们以最热烈的掌声，有请波士顿下一届的市长吴明 Michelle。
谢谢大家，我今天真正的非常感动，非常荣幸能够跟大家在一起。我长大的时候从来也没想过将来可以参加 government politics 竞选市议员或者竞选市长。我今天跟大家在一起，就是想要讲一下我们波士顿和所有美国的城市的机会。And I will use mostly English if that's okay. I'm very, very thankful to everyone for your generosity, for your support, for your leadership. We have been on this journey together for a very long time now, and it's one that I never imagined that I would be on at all. Growing up as the oldest child to immigrant parents, there was never a sense that I could be in rooms where important decisions were being made or part of the power structure of government, which felt so far away. And in my family, we always felt like we had to cross between different bridges. At home, dinner with chopsticks, only speaking Chinese, always comfortable in the family. But as soon as we left the house, there was always a sense of needing to navigate all the barriers that would be there. As the oldest child, being the translator and the interpreter in the family, helping to try to see and explain the differences in culture or customs or traditions, or something as simple as needing to drive over an hour to get to the right grocery store that would have the right vegetables and spices and 酱油 and whatever else that we needed. It factored into almost every part of being in this country and growing up, a sense that maybe we didn't quite belong. And I think lately, what we have seen across the country with a rise in anti-Asian hate and racism has awakened in me a lot of the feelings of what that was like growing up. But I see right now in this moment, actually the biggest opportunity of all, because our community has come together, we have spoken out, we have built organizations now over so many years that are now all in communication and organizing together. I'm running for mayor because I know that when people are in government, sometimes you can make the biggest change of all when you remember what it's like outside government. I didn't know when I first ran for office how complicated it would be. Growing up, I never heard of a fundraiser. I never knew what that would be or why you needed to put money to campaigns or what went into volunteering or knocking on doors. Because it's a very complex system. And these systems are often set up so that the same people know how to make it through and then hold on to that. But in this country and in this city, we have seen a very quick shift. Since I was elected 8 years ago to the Boston City Council, we have opened the doors of government. So more and more people of color, more and more community members who never thought that they would run for office, in fact, are now sitting in those very seats of power because we have opened the conversation all the way up to community. It's powerful when we understand that our community has strong voices, can make a big difference, and actually can deliver the types of impacts that we need. And so that's why it's been such an amazing journey with you all, learning and learning together about the political system, how we need to fund campaigns so that there's resources to be able to go door to door, resources to pay for all the materials, to hire the best staff, to make sure that we are advertising on TV and on radio and other sources. It's been a journey understanding how to even speak in public. I still get very nervous because I'd rather just sit by myself and read a book or listen. But I know now that, in fact, the upbringing that I had with the cultural values, the focus on community and history and taking care of families and community, in fact, that is what makes for the most committed and effective public servants. And so this has been a long journey together. I want to make sure that I'm very clear in how grateful I am. There are many people who have been involved with making sure that today was a big success, and I want to make sure not to forget anyone's names. So I can read through all of the sponsors of this event just to say thank you so much. The Chinese American communities, including the New England Chinese American Alliance, and in the Bay Area, Haipei, Shue, Qian, Wang, Vincent Wang, Xiaoqing, Zhang, George Chen, George Lang, Feng Lang, Amy Liu, Yuhuan Tang, Gloria Rong, Swallow Yan, Qunbin Xiong, Ping Li, Ying Luo, Xiaohong Sheng, Hong Ye, Chenhui Liu, Weihui Li, Ping Lan, Sophia Yi, Mimi Yi, Mark May, Lily Chen, Rachel Yang, Shirley Ma, Gary Yu, Richard Lee, Wenbing Lu, Jason Lin, Mr. Deng of Delaware is the note, Emily Sheng, Taosheng Huang, Richard Wang, Hermann Liu, John Lee, Linda B, Rutao Yao, Stephen Chen, Hong Yu Li, Connie Lee, Mingji Liu, Dylan Zhang, and I'm sure there's others that I forgot, but please give a round of applause. Thank you so much to our sponsors. And most of all, I want to just emphasize that we see the impact in the community already. I am so grateful. If you see some of our signs here, I went out to dinner last night with my family in Little Saigon. We went to have noodle soup in what is a neighborhood of Boston in Dorchester with one of the largest Vietnamese American communities anywhere in the country. And outside on one of the fences, there were a lot of campaign signs because we had a lot of candidates running for mayor and city council, and we had a very big sign up for us. But our campaign sign was the only one that had not only English but Vietnamese on our sign as well. And so the type of outreach that we are able to do with your support really is not just trying to win an election on one day and have some power, but to change who feels seen and included and part of politics so that we are all part of that conversation and making that change together. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. I'm really grateful for all your help.
Any question? 有吗？有人要跟Michelle提问吗？ Any questions? No? Okay, yeah.
So
Amy.
regarding education system, could you elaborate a little bit more? Thank you. I have a question regarding education system. Could you elaborate a bit more about what you would do to, help Boston public schools? A little bit more detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is the foundation of our future. And I know I would not be here if education had not been such an important focus of my parents and the many sacrifices they made to ensure that we could benefit from great public education in this country. I am now raising 2 boys who are 4 and 6 in our Boston public schools, and have also gone through the journey of taking care of my sisters as a legal guardian while my mom was struggling with mental illness. And so I've been involved in the Boston public schools for a long time. We know that in a city that has the best universities in the country, there are pathways for our community to wrap it around all of our students. I think people sometimes are surprised by how small the Boston Public School District is. In fact, if you think about what the size of the task is for us, each grade has about 4,300, 4,400 students. That's it. And so you can think how possible it is for each of those a little over 4,000 students to be connected to supports and academic opportunity and internships and rigor, and we can make sure that that happens. I have 4 parts to our education plan. First is to close the gap for early education with universal pre-K. Second is to make sure that we are creating a children's cabinet so every department in City Hall that connects with services for young people is working together, not separated from each other. Third is to rebuild the school buildings. Many of them are very, very outdated, and that has a lot of impacts on learning. And then last but not least is vocational education, really connecting the job pathways directly to our students.
Xiaoqing 可以上来，要么。
Hello, Michelle. Very nice to meet you again here, and very glad. We're very proud of you. What have you done so far, and how much progress you made so far? So you are the future of the city. The question for you is, my understanding is, if you're gonna win this election, you're gonna take over the office on November 16, right? And so, what's your first 100 days plan? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your support and your question. It is an unusual year. Usually the first 100 days starts in January, but because we still have, and we're very nervous about that, because we still have a vacancy in the office of mayor, the election really will create that duly elected mayor who will start right away in November. And so the first 100 days, in some ways, is about planning for the actual start, but being ready for what may come up. So we will have a big focus on COVID and the pandemic, ensuring that experts are guiding our recovery, especially as the winter months start. We need to have a situation in Boston. There's a big crisis near the intersection of Mass Ave and Melia-Cass Boulevard, where homelessness, substance use, and mental illness are all intertwined, and so we need to move quickly, again, especially as the weather grows cold. I want to stabilize our schools, which have been in extreme stress for 2 school years now, and just make sure we are prepared for the winter months and snowstorms and what is very, very important at the basic level for city services. But by the January start, we will have a plan in place for a government that is representative, inclusive, and reflects the city. that is centered on housing, schools, and the future through climate and being prepared. And most of all, is working to ensure that each community is able to connect with city government directly.
I'm Michelle. My name is John Schiffman. I'm one of the trustees of the building here, and new trustee. And so we have a lot of college students that live here. And I always like to ask what school they go to. And there was a few of them last night in the elevator, and I asked them how they like it. And they say they love the building, but they said, and it was kind of sad, they just said that we feel very unsafe in this neighborhood. And it is what it is, and I just wished I could just do something and so I just wanted to ask you as potentially the next mayor, how could we address that?
Yep. Thank you for hosting us as well, and for being engaged and part of this community. I have heard that a lot from residents who are living downtown, especially through the pandemic. It is a combination of, as I was just mentioning, a worsening of supports that are needed around homelessness and substance use and mental health, but it's also, especially here, the fact that there are just fewer people around, less foot traffic, because most of our big companies are still not back in person yet. This is going to be a key issue of how Boston addresses the change in our work commute situation. It has impacts not only on our commercial real estate market and what the leases and turnover will look like, but it has impact on all of the service sector jobs that are tied to that, and the safety and the feeling of community for residents who are living in this area as well. We are going to make sure that safety is a fundamental baseline for everyone. The first 100 days will certainly include getting the situation under control, but also moving so that we are thinking about this moment in our larger economy as one where we will keep supporting arts and culture, the downtown crossing bid, the placemaking and events that have driven a lot of foot traffic in certain parts of the city. When we saw Open Newberry Street, a lot of folks going over there and enjoying and being in community together. Some of the outdoor dining has really helped reshape the feeling of neighborhoods as well. So on all fronts, safety, health, housing, but also just placemaking and arts and culture in general, it should all fit together.
It's so lovely to see you here, Michelle, and congratulations on making it this far. Pursuant to what you were just discussing, it occurred to me to just ask you how you feel about, in terms of getting businesses back and making sure they don't stay remote and keeping our downtown revitalized. There's been so much work done and it's been so super successful. I am concerned, and I don't know if anyone else here feels the same, but as someone who lives downtown, I have noticed that there's been this enormous amount of narrowing of streets and making it much more difficult to traverse the city by one tiny faction in the Go Boston group of bicycling enthusiasts. So they've shut down an entire, they've put up, I don't know what you call them, but like markers or, yes, posts down Congress that entirely shut down a lane. Down at Boylston, they've also completely moved traffic down from 2 lanes, which were already inadequate, to 1 lane. And I have seen, I've spoken with some folks in that office, and they really are not interested in hearing from us. They have money and they've decided they're going to spend it, and they're really not taking stock. I've asked for what the proof is that this increases pedestrian safety, and they don't have any. And so what I'd really like to ask you about is, are there any plans to kind of review some of these major changes being made in the city that make it harder for people to come in and work here? Is there any way to kind of rein in this idea that narrowing the streets is good for Boston, when in fact we need to open them up further and make it more welcoming to our businesses to bring them back. Thank you.
I think there are a couple different strands here, and one is the downtown economy and what that looks like, and there's a lot that can be done there, especially thinking about this moment with vacancies and the city's role in convening how to fill them. I've been pushing, for example, for every commercial office building downtown to, while we have vacancies, to locate on-site childcare, so that as workers are starting to think through what is the new balance, as we might work from home a few days and downtown a few days, that changes the calculus, especially for working moms, when that amenity is located there. There's also a question of how do we think about our transportation system street by street, and certainly Boston's traffic pre-pandemic, we're headed right back there, was the worst anywhere, worst rush hour traffic anywhere in the country, including all West Coast cities. And so the size of our streets, the flow, the population growth has not been met by investments in infrastructure to accommodate that growth. That's why I've been pushing so hard for public transportation to be reliable and functioning, because we need, the only way to ease that is to give people other alternatives that work better, either walking and changing our land use patterns or investing in public transportation. In terms of the overall transportation system, it's frustrating because we'll see a short stretch celebrated as improvements in cycling infrastructure, but then it ends right there. People are dumped right back into traffic, and so it really needs to be a networked approach. We have some of the most world-renowned experts when it comes to cycling and multimodal and sustainable transportation infrastructure right here in Boston, including teaching at Northeastern. And we've identified that it's not just about the total number of miles or the number of posts that you put up, but the key connection points so that it flows within the larger transportation network system. So that's certainly a conversation that I look forward to having, and building up our planning and engineering departments in-house in City Hall to have that conversation.
Can I ask one question?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a photographer and I don't work for any newspaper. I cover Michelle's campaign since 2018 when she is doing the re-election of the city council. The way I look at Michelle is so valuable is that she serves as a bridge to the different community, different ethnic group, different interest groups. So my question to you is, once you become a mayor, how do you reunite the whole Boston, become one?
That is the whole question for Boston. We are a city with tremendous resources, and if we can just get to the point where all of our neighborhoods are aligned, all of our sectors are aligned, where we're working in the same direction, but it needs to start from having a clear vision from city government, bringing people together and defining the scope of what we need to get done, and then keeping everyone moving the same way. But thank you so much for all your help.
好的，谢谢。我们还有线上的几百个观众，所以我们现在有请我们的其中一个组织者海培先生来给我们1分钟。
Can hear.
Hello， 听到吗？海培。
Now I can't hear him.
What's going on?
Just let him to talk. Yeah.
请说，海培，请说，请说。
Can't hear you.
你只用说。I'm sorry.
Maybe I'll just.
So Haipei, just speak.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. Well, in fact, for me, it is still morning in San Francisco. Today, I really get excited. We are the Chinese communities across the country right now are doing fundraising for Michelle. Chinese community in over 30 cities, big or small, from coast to coast, are participating. We have raised more than 55,000 as of now. Give that applause. Together with checks and more donations on the way, and especially more after this event, I'm certain, will reach 60,000 or more in one school. I have never seen in my last 20 years such a passionate support from our community, grassroots like this one, for a political candidate like Michelle. Michelle's election is not just going to have positive impact on the city of Boston and but across the country. It will be extremely important for our next generation to have such a fine role model. A role model of not just going to Harvard, getting into politics and getting elected, but a role model of public service and serving others with all your heart and being, what we would call a service heart. And that's very rare. As my friend Albert Wang said, quote, "She is the real deal." I'm certainly confident that your win on November the 2nd will change our community, change Boston, and start another American truly owning a piece of this country and giving back in the way that you have done. Thank you, Michelle, on behalf of all the donors across the country. Go, Michelle, go!
Go Michelle Go Go Michelle Go 再次感谢大家因为时间的关系，就Michelle也要赶去下个活动了，那所以我们可能还有一些简短的时间，如果大家要合照的话呢，那可能就过来这边排队，然后我们摄影师在这，然后呢Michelle就在这跟大家来个简短的合影，好吗？谢谢大家。你看在这边来，好。然后另外的话呢，我们同时还有，我要向大家郑重介绍一下。我身边的这位小朋友，15岁的菲比田，他是我们 Lexington High School 的一个优秀的一个学生，而且呢也是未来的这个歌星，他呢之前有一首歌是非常出名的，就是叫什么了
？We're proud to be Asian。
对 ，We're proud to be Asian。然后呢，他是就是关于是 Stop Asian Hate 的，专门做了一首歌，大家相信很多人都听过。那现在的话呢，他呢一直是Michelle我们这个竞选的志愿者而且是一个 team 的一个 leader。那他呢自己会作词作曲所以呢他写了一首歌专门是给Michelle的。那我们现在有一边在拍照，一边的话呢也欣赏他的歌声，好吗？你们大家就排队，快点啊！然后呢，我们先有请菲比来讲两句，然后呢给大家献歌。
Hello， 大家好，我是菲比田。First, I'm so thankful for Michelle to show me what I can do in my future, and she has been such a role model for me, and being brave, being bold, and I'm so honored to be part of this campaign and to learn so much in the process of this. And yeah, so I wrote a song for Michelle called "A Boston That We All Belong," and I hope you all enjoy.
Thank you so much. Watch for the wire. 注意脚下。
We're gonna do this together. Build a Boston that we all belong. We're gonna be even stronger in this Boston that we all belong. One day we'll have free transportation, equal access to education. One day we'll have affordable housing, public health that we belong. One day we'll cross the racial gap, help small business, bring businesses back. One day we'll have public safety, food and trust in our communities. We're gonna do this together, build a Boston that we all belong. We're gonna be even stronger in this Boston that we all belong. One day we'll hone a brand new deal. Economic justice can be real. One day we'll value arts and culture, finally put our people first. We're gonna do this together, build a Boston that we all belong. We're gonna be even stronger in this Boston that we all belong. Everyone say, go Michelle, go. Come on, go Michelle, go. Everyone say, go Michelle, go. Go Michelle, go. We're gonna do this together, build a Boston that we all belong. We're gonna be even stronger in this Boston that we all belong. This Boston that we all belong. Thank you. Go Michelle, go.